My 24 female boyfriend, 24 male, wants me to lie and say it was me driving my car when actually it was him who had a single car accident. If it's proven it's him, he will probably lose his car insurance. I want to help him but don't know what to do. Original post. Earlier this morning, we were coming back from a party in my car, and my boyfriend was speeding and absolutely plowed into parked cars on the street in front of a donut shop. My car is totaled, and the other 2 cars probably are as well. The cops showed up in record time, and while we were separated, he told them it was me who was driving. The donut shop apparently had video and caught the whole thing. They told him that the video seemed to show him driving, but it wasn't clear, so they would take his word for it. The cops then wrote me 3 tickets for speeding, losing control of a vehicle, and reckless driving. I was so in shock that I didn't even know what to say, so I just signed the tickets. We got an Uber home and got into a huge fight, and I was just exasperated that he would do this to me. He reminded me that if he took responsibility for the accident, he would lose his job, and his car insurance would become unaffordable, so he wouldn't be able to get to work. I told him that my car is now gone, and my rates are going to skyrocket. He promised me he would buy me a new car and also help with my increased insurance rates. The accident was about 6 hours ago, and I still haven't called my insurance company to report it. Of course, the other 2 people whose cars were totaled have probably called, so my insurance likely already thinks I caused the accident and is preparing to raise my rates going forward. I'm so angry, and I have no idea what to do. I don't want my boyfriend to lose his job, but I also don't want to be screwed over because he was driving recklessly. I would really appreciate any advice. Now for the top advice before reading the update. No, do not go along with this at all. I'm an insurance adjuster, so here are the consequences for you, assuming this is in the US. 1. Your car, your insurance, is primarily responsible for the damages, injuries, etc., even if he was driving. By lying about who was driving, you are committing insurance fraud. This is a crime that can range from a misdemeanor to a felony, and they will prosecute you and your boyfriend. 2. When you're found to be committing insurance fraud, they will drop you. And you will have a hard time getting insurance because your name will go into a national database for fraudulent items. Forget high rates. Worry about being insurable at all. 3. If you're caught lying to your insurance company about fraud, they can deny your entire claim. All of it. Do you want to be responsible for paying for your car and 2 other cars? 4. Lying to the police can lead to charges for both you and him for filing a false report. Your boyfriend did this, so it's his responsibility to face the consequences, and they're going to be severe if you go along with this lie, especially if there's even vague video evidence. Clear this up immediately with the police, your insurance company, and try to get a copy of that video. And ditch the lying boyfriend. Am I screwed because I signed the tickets? I was so in shock at what was being told to me, I signed them without even realizing what I was doing. Honestly, I don't know. Call the officer who wrote them and ask. As I said, if they were suspicious already, that will work in your favor. But don't sit and think about it. Just fix it now. Why on earth would you cover for and love someone who has demonstrated complete and utter disregard for you? You do realize that covering for him is illegal, right? You've also set a precedent that his comfort and well-being are more important than yours. He shouldn't make you pay for his crime. It's his fault and his mess. Are you seriously going to let this giant mistake ruin your life with your insurance rates? Not to be a nag, but why were you 2 operating a vehicle that condition? An Uber would have been smarter and cheaper. He claims he wasn't drunk. I don't drink but was tired, so I was trying to sleep on the way home. How much did he drink during the party? Did he eat and switch to water or coffee an hour or more before you guys left? Do you have the money to pay for the damages to the other people's property? Being tired is just as bad as being drunk. Also, what are you gonna do now that you don't have a car? I'm not sure. We stayed at a party until about 8 a.m. and I had been ready to leave at midnight. But he wanted to hang out with his friends. I fell asleep in a guest room around 3, so I'm not sure what he did after that. All I know is around 8, he woke me up to go home. And about 15 minutes later, while I was sort of dozing in the car, I woke up to my side of the car being smashed in around me. If he breaks up with you, do you have others who can help ferry you around? Do you make enough to cover restitution on your own, along with rent and day-to-day living expenses. Also, since it's unclear if you'll come clean, do you make enough to cover all of this plus the increased insurance cost when you eventually get a new car, factoring in at-fault increase of hitting multiple cars? I ask because my mother once made sure to pursue an 8th-time drunk driver for totaling her car. If you take the fall, you'll be covering expenses for your car, person 1's car, and a person 2's car. No, not at all. I'm pretty broke and my parents hate my boyfriend so much. And that I'm with him, they have more or less written me off. So I don't even really have a place to go if I dump him, let alone all the stuff you are talking about. Now for the update. So basically, at the advice of this thread, I stopped posting and called my mom and dad, who I really hadn't spoken to since I moved in with boyfriend, and said I was leaving him. I was scared and begged to be picked up. This was about 1:30 a.m. They said they would be over right away. I had locked myself in the bathroom and my boyfriend must have heard me making the call because he started trying to beat the door down and I was terrified. When the door didn't go down easy, I could hear him smashing things out in the living room of the apartment and kitchen. I stayed on the phone with my mom while my dad called 911 on his phone. I stayed locked in the bathroom and he occasionally would try to break the door down and again. All this time I was crying and so freaking scared, and he was screaming and calling me every name in the book. We have neighbors with kids, and I heard the kids wake up and start crying. And then I'm pretty sure I heard one of the dads beating on our front door telling boyfriend to shut up. Cops showed up just before my parents and immediately put him in handcuffs and put him on a couch, and started taking statements from me and the neighbors. I came out of the bathroom and he looked like a raging chained up psychopath. Everything, and I mean everything in our apartment is destroyed. Walls, plates, pictures, TV, Xbox, ironing board, chairs. My clothes were thrown over the balcony. My makeup was smashed against the wall, and stuffed animals I was given as a baby were ripped apart. I have no idea how long it was, but it was crazy he did so much damage in such a short period of time. My dad and my mom showed up, and my mom started bawling because she hadn't seen me in so long, and my dad looked like he wanted to end my boyfriend. But with the police there, he composed himself really well. We had to stay during the time the police took everyone's statement. It was clear he was going to be arrested for a ton of stuff. I started telling them what caused all this and the story from earlier in the morning. So the officer asked me to get the tickets, and it turns out the officer who wrote the tickets this morning is the guy from the night incident's direct supervisor. So they're going to talk today and if need be, maybe go back to the donut place and look at the footage. Then the worst thing of all happened. My mom was standing sort of by the door as they were taking boyfriend out in handcuffs. My mom gave him a really nasty look and he said something like, "If she goes home with you, you'll just have another who blows her brains out." My older brother ended himself when he was 17 and I was 10. My mom has never gotten over it. Neither have I really. My mom reached out and slapped him as hard as she possibly could. So then the police had no choice but to arrest her as well. They were nice about it and loosely handcuffed her and took her to one of the squad cars. So I got dressed and tried to pack up and salvage whatever I could while my dad went down to bail out my mom. One of the 3 police stayed in a parking lot in his car, just in case any of boyfriend's boys showed up while I got what I could. My mom was in and out pretty quickly and is facing a misdemeanor battery charge which will probably go nowhere. But as you can imagine, while my parents were very happy to get me, they were extremely angry at what had transpired not only yesterday, but the last 6 months or so. I have a very long road ahead to repair the relationship with them. My dad has been mostly silent, but he did take me to the family attorney so he could start working on the stuff from the accident. He said it shouldn't be too hard to get me out of the tickets, and women especially take the fall for husbands or boyfriends' accidents way more often than you would think. I will probably still have to show up for court, but by that time, the investigation to show my boyfriend was the one really driving should be concluded, and I will be dismissed. However, the thing that really sucks is that my state is a permissive use state, meaning that my insurance has to cover anyone who is driving my car. There is a good chance that my insurance company will fight it out with its company for overall liability, and it won't be as bad. But I'm still going to take a massive hit on car insurance premiums for a long time. Another good thing is the lease to the apartment is totally in his name, so I won't be responsible for any damages there. Plus, I didn't do anything to put holes in walls, and I can just walk away from that. This whole thing sucks so much, because even after all that happened, and as crazy as he knows, I know I still have feelings for him that I need to get in serious therapy right away to start dealing with. I can't have someone so destructive in my life who was willing to let me take the fall for all his crap and then scare the life out of me and threaten me. This is the third or fourth story I recall, where OP said they couldn't contact their parents because they cut ties due to significant other. But when OP calls, parents come immediately. I bring this up only to say, if anyone reading this finds themselves in a similar position, please do contact your parents. Obviously not if you had no contact because parents were toxic or abusive though. Chances are they've been hoping for the "I'm leaving my significant other" help call for a while. My ex-girlfriend beat the heck out of me outside a nightclub so badly I lost a tooth. I called my mom in hysterics about 1 a.m. and she was out the door heading my way in seconds. My mom is an amazing woman who always told me no matter what, she would be there if I needed her. Sorry for the ramble. This post brought back some not-so-fun memories. My aunt was in an abusive marriage and she cut her parents, my grandparents, and the rest of her family out of her life for a bit. One phone call for help, and everyone who could drove hundreds of miles to pack up everything she owned in that house, get her in with an attorney, find a storage facility for her furniture, told her work what was going on and help her give notice, and move her back in with her parents all in one day and all while the guy was at work. A lot of people are against stepping back from abuse victims, but sometimes you really need to for your own sanity. It's important to let them know that you'll still be there if they are willing to leave, but you aren't willing to stay involved in the day-to-day. Oh, thank God she left him. She really thought settling for an abusive prick like this was better than being alone? Did she even really love him, or did she just not want to be lonely? Abusive relationships are not always easy to leave. Last story. My wife accidentally traumatized our daughter. My wife and I made a mistake of getting married too young, so she constantly stressed with our daughter and chores. I don't help enough, so after work, the only thing I have time to do is make dinner and do laundry, while my wife has to do all of the hard stuff alone. She's always throwing this in my face, and most of the time I can accept it since it's a valid argument, but sometimes I just lose my patience and yell back. Last week was one of those times and I said something really hurtful and she started smacking me, and I try to sit down because it usually makes her less angry, and then she just starts choking me. I can't remember if I tried to get away or if she pushed me. Either way, she told me I hit my head on a counter and then the floor and I passed out. My daughter was in the room and saw everything. She had never seen my wife hurt me in any way, so she was hysterical when I woke up because she thought I was gone. Things have been pretty neutral between me and my wife these past few days. But daughter hasn't moved past it. She keeps looking at the bruises on my neck and she follows me everywhere when I'm home. I know my wife feels like a horrible mother now, and my daughter won't talk to her unless it's necessary. I'm so afraid that this will become a core memory for her. Why did I even argue? I feel like such a crappy dad for not being able to keep my wife stable, but I'm just afraid of her and she knows it. I love my wife despite everything, but I don't know if my daughter will ever see us as truly happy together after this. Edit? I know rationally it's bad, but I've always been a dependent person, so I'm still holding on to the loving part of her, and I guess now it's gotten to the point where I feel like it's just part of being married to her. I'm going to try to answer some questions, but I don't want to be too long or too graphic. I might have a picture of a slap from years ago when it first started that I sent to my sister. But for some reasons, we don't talk, and I never did that again. I decided to take the advice here and take a picture of my neck, but as of right now, I haven't reported anything. Sorry. I also had people ask what the documented issues were. It's mostly being forcefully committed and multiple self-harm and attempts to end things from my teenage years, so as recently as 2 years ago, as well as an anxiety and disorder I refused further treatment for. I guess I'm not always the most mentally stable, and I can still work with medication, but on paper it just looks really bad. Sir, you are being mistreated. You are also blaming it on yourself, common for domestic violence victims. Your entire post is excusing your wife's behavior, and this is a common occurrence because you know ways to calm her down. I'll give you the same advice I would give a wife being treated this way by a man. Leave. Take your child and leave. Visitation can be worked out later, but for now, both of you need to leave. File a police report and a restraining order. Then file for divorce. She didn't push you a little or smack your shoulder. She choked you unconscious, leaving bruises. And your daughter witnessed it. This has to end. Hopefully your wife will seek treatment and become a better person, but you can't wait around for that to happen. Once DV escalates to choking, I think it's 750% higher risk of being unalived by your partner. And leaving him there until he wakes up instead of calling an ambulance? That's insane. It is insane. But we know why she left him there. If she called an ambulance, they would want to know what happened to him, at least in order to know what treatment he needed. She might lie to their faces, but I bet the daughter wouldn't. Domestic violence has a tendency to escalate. Please plan a safe escape for you and your daughter. Your wife sounds like a monster. From here on out, the most likely cause of your passing is your wife. She needs actual help. DV is never okay. But you don't choke someone unless you want them gone, even if it's only momentarily. Right now, you're fine. But what about next time? Make no mistake, there will be a next time. This broke a seal. Figure out someone you trust and tell them what happened in writing. Include pictures of any injuries if possible. Unfortunately, you're a man, I'm presuming, so it may be a bit more difficult finding DV resources for you, as well as being incredibly difficult to get police to take you seriously should it come to that. So I'd start preparing now to leave at a moment's notice, even if you plan on counseling. Be safe, OP. Update. Should I 25 male tell my friend's 28 female fiancé we were hooking up? They just got engaged and pregnant. Original story. Supposedly, they split up last year during COVID lockdown because he was going to be spending an unspecified amount of time out of state with his family. She told me they broke up because they didn't want to do long distance. And after that, we were hanging out at my place to keep each other company. I've always been attracted to her, so I didn't mind all the time we were spending. Well, one night we smoked a joint and got handsy and flirty. I've wanted that for a long time, so we went to my bed and became intimate. From there on, we acted like rabbits, basically all the time during lockdown. The thing is, a couple months ago, she tells me came back to our state, and that they decided to get back together as a couple, so we needed to end our thing. It sucked, and I was sad because I did like her a lot, but that's how it goes sometimes. Last week, I heard they decided to get engaged, and that he proposed to her when she found out she's pregnant. It was never my intention to ever tell him I was sleeping with her because they were broken up. Also, I'm not really friends with him as we just see each other sometimes. But I'm learning now that they were never broken up, or at least according to him. He told me they were doing a long-distance relationship, and he's happy they managed to stay strong. Just to double-check, I got confirmation that they agreed they wouldn't be open to anyone else, and he thinks she was faithful to him that whole time. Now they are engaged and about to have a baby. It's a lot happening, and I'm not sure if I should tell him she was cheating on him. This could be messing up a future family and all. At the same time, I would want to know. But what if he prefers not to? I don't know. I'm lost. What should I do? Should I tell him? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Are you sure it's not your baby? That poor other guy. You know, she would never tell him. I wouldn't want to marry someone who was cheating on me for months. I would want to know if I were him. Congrats on the kid, I think. If she was humping you like a rabbit, she surely was less active with poor guy number 2. I hope so much for you that the kid isn't yours. That would make things way more complicated. This is going downhill no matter what. What I would do is just stay shut unless they do a DNA test and it's not his, then I would tell. If not, then I would not start drama and ruin any family, even if it's actually fake. But I would tell the daughter at some point when she's past 18. Ruin a happy family? She messed up, and that has consequences. Absolutely, the long-term boyfriend should know what kind of girl he's about to marry. You're going to have to tell him. There will be backlash. There will be hard feelings. There might even be need for restraining orders if things go really sideways. But it has to be done. For no other reason that it's the right thing to do. He thought they were LDR the whole time. She probably knew this, or was under the impression that they were over, and she told you they were no longer a thing. You believed her. You didn't have any reason not to at the time. I'm just stating fact. Lots of things can be said in hindsight, but this 100% is not your fault. When they got back together, the pregnancy was discovered. You can't have him raising a child that might not even be his. That's not fair on him as a human being, let alone a father. Also, get a paternity test to make absolute sure. I get what you mean, and yeah, it's true. A down 40 update. Well, he knows. Told him the day before yesterday. I thought about telling her first, but I didn't want her to spin the story and make it seem like I'm the one who's a liar. I just texted him asking if we could meet up. He was already seeming weird that I'd ask him to meet up because I have never done that before. I still had all the texts we sent each other back then, and obviously he knows her number, so it doesn't seem like I faked them or something. He was pissed, like he wanted to punch me, but when it was all out there, he just said he can't talk right now and walked off. That was it. But she was blowing up my phone that night, asking what I told him because he broke off the engagement. On top of that, he's not replying to her. And I told her all I said was the truth. She came to my place crying about it. First, she was mad, but then she said she's sorry about everything. And she knows she had lied to me too when we were doing our thing. Then I asked her about the baby, but she claims she's not sure. They were already together around the time she got pregnant, but also she knows we were still doing it at the time too. She didn't know how to tell him, and he surprised her with a proposal when he found out about the pregnancy. Obviously now he wants a paternity test, and I told her I need to know too. She asked me what I'm gonna do if the baby's mine, and I said it'll be in its life. All she told me was, okay, good. And now we're seeing where we can get a paternity test done since you guys said it's possible to do it before the baby is born. I'm nervous as hell. Just want to get this done so we know for sure if I'm about to be a father. It's crazy when I think about it. Some of our friends texted me asking if it's true, so word got around already. I haven't heard anything from him, but it's only been a day. Still, at least the whole meeting could have gone worse, and I feel better that it's out there. So thanks for encouraging me to be honest. Oh, by the way, I don't know why this was a thing in the comments. I guess some people were just lacking reading comprehension because for some reason, you were thinking he was my friend and had it in your heads that I was sleeping with a friend's ex. So just clarifying to those that for whatever reason thought I'm a piece of crap for breaking the friend code. Lol. He's not my friend. The girl who may or may not be my baby mama is who I was friends with, not him. He was just a boyfriend of my friend. Wonder if people are still not gonna get it. Lol. Thought it was pretty clear in my original post. Anyways, that's all the updates I got for you right now. All there is now is to find out if I'm gonna be a dad. You can get a non-invasive DNA test at 7 weeks. I feel sorry for the boyfriend/fiancé since he will be hurt no matter the outcome. But I'm glad you stepped up and did the right thing. You're a real one. That's what I'm hearing. We're definitely gonna do that. Only if she consents to it. If she decides she doesn't want to, it'll be a court battle or just wait until the baby is born. You don't actually get a say. You did the right thing. I'm sure if you had any idea they were still together, attracted to her or not, you wouldn't have slept with her. I would start making a game plan in case the baby's biologically yours. She can have a paternity test without the baby being born, and it will not harm the baby at all. It's up to you how involved you want to be, but wanting to be involved is going to be the best for the child if it is yours. I would not recommend getting into a relationship with her. Just stay as the child's father. And if it's not yours, well, honestly, that's the best case situation. I would not think her ex would talk to you, especially if the kid is yours, so I wouldn't count on hearing back from him. Definitely not if she was in a relationship. I've never wanted to be that guy who does something that messed up. Yeah, I know, so we're trying to find a place that does that. Like, I'm mentally preparing for it to go either way. I'll be there 100% if it's mine. Not with her, yeah, I agree. I'll just be there for my baby and help her however she needs. Talk to a lawyer ASAP. Get a custody/visitation agreement written up. Also get a child support agreement. While either of these can easily be modified or overturned by a judge, This gives you a recourse and leverage if she wants to try dangling the child in front of you as a bait to get something, or at least if she wants to just say, no, you can't see them. Under no accounts should you trust her to follow word-of-mouth handshake-only custody agreements. Just don't. She's a proven liar and manipulator. Always get it in writing. Understand that what she says means nothing. Not making that same mistake of believing anything that comes out of her mouth again. My dad knows some good family lawyers. Once I got confirmation that the baby is mine, then I'll be making calls. Next story is titled, My girlfriend admitted after a year that she had a miscarriage, when in reality, she had terminated. Looking at the title, I realize it might confuse some, so here's an edited version. My girlfriend admitted she had termination instead of a miscarriage. My 30 male, girlfriend 28 female, were trying for a baby last year. She got pregnant twice, but would start bleeding for what she said was a miscarriage, and she seemed genuinely heartbroken. Yesterday, she said that she needed to confess something, saying that she hasn't been honest with me and said that both of her miscarriages were actually from her getting termination pill. She said that she wanted to see how I reacted to something like that, and when I comforted her, she really liked the extra attention and did it the second time. She started saying that she was sorry and wanted to try again, but I was extremely pissed that she would do something like this, and told her to pack her bags and get out of my house. I support women getting the procedure, but this was unacceptable. This morning she texted me about 50 times begging me to take her back, and I ignored each call and text from her. When she had lost the pregnancies, it was really upsetting for me, and I went to therapy with her to try and get past the grief. Now that I know she was lying, and I don't think I can trust her anymore after she did what she did, what is the best way to move on from this? Edit. Her sister just texted me saying that now she's threatening to end herself. Now for the top advice. Jesus, there's no moving on from this. She needs serious psychological help. Absolutely do not have a baby with this woman. I saw your Reddit, Opie. Contact the police and let them know she needs a wellness check. She also needs psychological help. Terminating a baby and lying about it as a test, then doing it again because she liked the attention, is just not normal behavior by any means. It really makes you wonder what other weird things she's been doing. Listen, I am as pro-choice as they come, but this is freaking bananagrams. Intentionally getting pregnant in order to secretly terminate and garner sympathy over a fake miscarriage? That is next level. You made the right choice. I don't see how there can ever be any trust after this. She needs some kind of mental health care to get to the root of her issues, and maybe heading back to therapy yourself to process this is a good place to start. It's a pretty serious betrayal that could affect your ability to trust and form a healthy attachment with a future partner down the road. Getting procedures because you're not ready to be a parent is acceptable. Hell, it's even encouraged, since the kid doesn't deserve to be raised in a negative living condition. But getting it for the sake of attention? Behind her significant other's back? And liking the sympathy that came with it? This woman should never have kids again. I never wished that on anyone before, but this is some psychotic crap. Wow, I've heard of mothers making their kids sick for sympathy. I'm guessing this is how some start. It's possible. If your ex is threatening self-harm, let emergency services handle it. Don't get involved further with her. Last story is titled, Girlfriend's sister is saying she's pregnant with my child. Reddit's probably not the best place for this, but I'm 25 male really freaking confused and not sure what to do. Months back, we were at my girlfriend's, 25 female, cousin's house. It was a lot of people we didn't even know. Everyone got drunk. Like super drunk. As in people were jumping into his pool naked drunk. I've only been blackout drunk one other time in my life, but this one was the worst. I literally don't remember anything. My girlfriend had to carry me away because I couldn't even walk on my own. I slept in one of the beds because we were gonna spend the night there, but my girlfriend had to drive one of her friends home. Sometime later, not sure what time it was, but it was super early. I wake up and have the worst hangover of my life. But I'm also naked except for my shirt and socks. The sheets are sticky. All I could remember are snippets here and there of someone on me, but literally no idea who the hell with. I called my girlfriend freaked out, and I remember I was crying because I felt like I cheated on her but don't remember anything of it. She had to stay longer at her friend's because she was throwing up a lot and ended up falling asleep there. We talked about what happened that day, and she definitely thinks I was violated because she saw the state I was in. But the thing was, I had no idea with who. Her cousin had lots of random friends we never met who were there. Eddie says he doesn't remember seeing anyone come to the rooms after my girlfriend took me there to sleep. Now, I'm learning her sister, 22 female, is pregnant. She came to see me in private. She's saying we did it. That she went to the restrooms down the hall from where I was sleeping, and I got flirty with her. And we acted on it. And according to her, she felt guilty for betraying her sister, but she was drunk and wanted to forget about it. We never mentioned the violation thing to her sister because I didn't want anyone to know about it. She told me she's sorry, that she didn't mean for it to happen. But she's pregnant now and feels I had a right to know as the father. I feel sick. My girlfriend doesn't know yet. I don't know how I'm supposed to tell her that her sister was the one that did that. And not only that, but her baby could be mine. Before anyone says to speak to a therapist, I'm already on a wait list for that, so that's covered. But just please help me on what's the best course of action here. How do I tell my girlfriend? Get a paternity test. You were definitely taken advantage of, but that doesn't mean that this is your child. I am for sure. Just don't know why lie about something like that, especially with how it happened. Still, get a test. She was very drunk, as she stated, and could have slept with any number of other people that night, or any night near that night. Don't be on the hook for someone else's child because you don't know why she would lie about it. People are crazy. She's an offender, so she's shown herself to be absolutely crazy. Tell your girlfriend. Tell her the full story to get the police involved. I would tell her the identity of the offender at the end, as she may need some counseling as well after that. You were violated. I'm so sorry. She obviously was not nearly as impaired as you if she remembers everything, so she took advantage of the state you were in. None of this is your fault. However, I do think you need to tell your girlfriend. She's already said she thinks you were taken advantage of, and doesn't think you cheated. If you're worried she'll be angry, I think the only one she will be mad at is, rightfully, her sister. OP, 1. Your girlfriend sounds like a keeper. 2. You should get a lawyer if you can afford one. 3. Don't tell her you believe she took advantage of you until you have talked to a lawyer, because she could easily claim the opposite. Get the lawyer's advice, but I suggest you should get documentation that she had slept with you willingly, and that she remembers you being really drunk. Send her a text saying something like, I really don't remember what happened that night. I was so drunk. So tell me again what happened? Or something like that. Then she can't retract her claim later. 4. But also, I think there's a decent chance she's making it up or that the baby is someone else's, even if she did force you. So if she really is pregnant, you should demand a paternity test. Is she going to keep the baby? She says she is. If you, Opie, are drunk passed out on the bed, how were you suddenly up, alert, and flirting with her? She said she went to the restroom down near the room where you were lying in the bed passed out. Did she come to your room or what? Or does she claim you were up, out of bed, out of that room and being flirty with her near, in, or outside the restroom? It's really important to find out where this flirting took place, because it sounds made up. And like she's flipping the script to put the blame on you for initiating the situation, when it may well have been her coming into the room where you were passed out and climbing on top of you. It sounds like she's trying to cover her own butt. Don't let her railroad you. And it's a very good idea to get a lawyer right now before she blabs her story to everyone first. Agreed. Those are all valid points. I'm concerned that the sister might try to flip the story and claim he took advantage of her. Opie needs to inform his girlfriend and get the police involved. Update. My life has imploded. Husband 29 male slept with my mom 55 female right before we got married 2 years ago. Original post. He confessed it to me yesterday out of guilt. The details are that he was extremely drunk on his bachelor party nights, which I knew had happened. He doesn't drink often and overdid it. Said the next morning that he didn't remember anything after a certain point. I thought nothing of it. Looking back, I can see how he was acting pretty off, which I assumed at the time was wedding jitters. Now he's told me he did remember coming home that night, which was when my mom, staying with us that week for the wedding, came on to him. He went along with it to the point of ending up hooking up with her in her bed. In fact, he passed out on her bed and was there the whole night. My bachelorette party was the same night, and I came home around 3 a.m. to see he wasn't in our bed. I texted him but assumed he had crashed with a friend, as he'd said he might do that if things got crazy. But he was actually with my mother, right in the room next freaking door. The next morning, he quietly slipped out while I was still asleep, then opened the door pretending he'd just come home after sleeping off the drunkenness at his friend's. He got into bed with me and told me that lie. As if that wasn't enough, he also initiated intimacy soon after, when he had been banging my mother mere hours before. We got married the very next day. Damn everything. I literally cannot believe this. My mother has a history of trying to flirt with guys I've dated and being inappropriate. Not this bad, but still. My husband knew this. We laughed about it, and he reassured me he would never in a million years think she was attractive. I called her last night. Just said, husband told me everything. She spent several minutes pretending not to know what I was talking about, then denying everything and saying he was making it up, then claiming she'd woken up to my husband forcing himself on her. The sheer audacity of the BS she's capable of is beyond any disgust I can properly convey. I eventually just ended a call. I could not stop crying. She refused to even admit the truth, let alone take any responsibility or apologize. I'm not even worth basic honesty in my own mother's eyes. I'm not even worth a half-baked I'm sorry to her. The person is supposed to love you no matter what. And does she also think I'm stupid? Why keep lying to someone who knows you're lying, unless you actually think they'd fall for your crap? Today I can't cry at all. Everything feels unreal. I'm completely lost and almost feel like I dreamed this or something. I've lost the 2 most important people in my life because they decided that I wasn't as important to them as having a quick hookup. Well, I hope it was the best 10 minutes of their lives. And sure, maybe my husband didn't come home that night with a planned intention of sleeping with her. He probably didn't, and it was just horrible judgment from over-drinking. That doesn't change the fact he and my mom had done it. No one should be able to say that about their spouse. How's that normal? I cannot imagine remaining in a marriage where my spouse has banged my mom, literally 2 nights before our wedding. There's simply no coming back from that, right? No, I will never get over or forgive it. I feel absolutely revolted that for the last 2 years, they've been at family visits together acting more or less normal, with me right there like a stupid clueless fool. There's probably much more I'm forgetting, but maybe it doesn't even matter. I'm just done. My life is gone and I have no idea where I will be next week, let alone next year. We were going to be together for the rest of our lives. Now it's gone. Just like that, I have nothing. What can I do now? How do I possibly explain to the rest of my family why we're divorcing? I am so freaking humiliated. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Okay, so if your mother were telling the truth about him forcing himself on her, why would she be okay with her daughter marrying an offender? My brain cannot compute the awfulness of it all. You deserve better than both of them. Don't be embarrassed. They should both be ashamed, especially your mother. Either the mom's an offender or the husband is. With all the details provided here, it sounds like the mom is. But of course, so many think he's a cheating scumbag. She took advantage of him being drunk. Mom has a history flirting and being inappropriate with Opie's past boyfriends. That's true. The mother absolutely did force herself on him. But instead of telling his wife everything as soon as he realized it happened, he chose not to. He kept up the lie by mission for 2 years. He's not innocent either. Tell everyone the truth. Burn them down. She's got to get ahead of this before the mom pulls some BS and tries to paint herself as the victim. Opie needs to cut all contact with her awful mother, and she needs to tell her family the whole story so they don't try and force her to reconnect. Opie, I'm so sorry. First of all, you don't have to explain to the family if you don't want to. You could say something like it's not working out and we have decided to separate and are not comfortable discussing more. On the other hand, you could just say the truth because if your mom has decided to lie and accuse her husband of raping her, when she knows that is not the truth, mainly due to the fact that she has done that in the past. She could very well lie about why you stopped talking to her, paint you in a bad light, which brings me to my next point. I think you should cut contact with your mother, at least for now. I know the truth epically sucks, but other people should be warned about this, especially if Opie has other siblings. Either the mom or the soon-to-be ex-husband is an offender. If this isn't aired out, it could happen again to someone else. And now for the update. My actual update will be brief, but I first want to thoroughly address what you guys said on my first post. I read every single comment. I guess skip to the bottom if you just want to know the update. Most of you were pointing out that it sounded like my husband was too drunk to consent, meaning she violated him. When I spoke to him again after reading all of that, I asked him carefully if he felt that she took advantage of his drunkenness. There was a long pause. He sighed and gave me this look that was just full of guilt and sadness, and then basically said no, that it would be easy to go with the out I was giving him, but that I deserved the full truth. He then proceeded to tell me that before that night, they had been ex-thing for several months. He had not told me this the first time he confessed. He went on to tell me more, explaining that he left this out because the biggest issue was the actual cheating, and he hadn't wanted to hurt me by giving all the lead-up details. He only gave them this time out of some remaining sense of honor, I guess. He said it'd be even more of a coward if he misleads me to think it was without consent. So I guess he's not as much of a liar as he could be. Don't know how to feel about that. Anyway, they had been ex-thing, including exchanging nudes, for a few months before the wedding. Now, I had known they texted sometimes. They always had a friendly relationship. I hadn't ever suspected anything weird. Like I said in the first post, he'd been adamant that he'd never think of her that way. I trusted him. He can't explain why they started texting beyond he got caught up in the thrill of doing something forbidden. There were implications made about wanting to do things in real life as a one-night thing, should the opportunity even arise. Disgusting. So fast forward to our bachelor/bachelorette party's night. The texting between him and her was going on while he was out that night. So what I said in my first post about how he probably didn't come home intending to sleep with her? Yep, that was wrong. He did. In fact, him telling me he was going to stay overnight with his friend if he got too drunk was all part of the setup. He knew I'd be out very late at a show. He had the presence of mind to arrange a way to leave his party earlier in the night, go home, sleep with my mother, and already have given me a plausible explanation for appearing not to be home when he got back at 3 a.m., so that he could spend that one night with her. It was just that important to him to have the full experience of falling asleep after the deed and waking up next to each other. He reiterated that he had been aware the whole time of what he was doing. He was not as drunk as he'd made it seem the next morning when he claimed not to remember anything that happened. I think that tripped people up in my first post into thinking he was incapacitated. I thought I'd been clear that he had admitted during his first confession that it was an act he put on to me at the time to cover up his cheating, which he then explained he actually had remembered everything the next morning. So just to be clear again, while he did get drunk, at no point did he black out or become totally wasted to the point he was incapable of controlling his decisions and body. He doesn't know if she was drunk too or relatively sober. She had mentioned she was drinking when he was out at his party, but he doesn't know how much. He said since that night, he hadn't texted her at all except about logistical details of visits, and one text he sent her the day after. In that one, he said it would never happen again, and she'd lose me if I knew, correct, so she better never let it slip. She agreed. He claims everything between them since then has been a normal mother-in-law relationship. Do I believe that? Doesn't matter. He lied for 2 years and then lied by omission in his first confession about the months-long build-up to the affair. During that time, I was bonding with my mother over wedding planning. She even brought me dress shopping. It's freaking sick. I'd be misplaced to not acknowledge his integrity around the R thing. He told me it'd be easy to run with that in order to keep me, and said if that's how it happened, I would stay with him. But that had already betrayed me. He wouldn't be able to live with himself if he made a false claim about something so serious instead of taking responsibility. Well, that is the only part I respect him for. As for my mom, nothing. Not a word from her since this weekend. Fine by me. I never want to see or hear from her again. It's almost like she died. I don't have a mother anymore. Some of you ask about my father. He died of health issues in 2010, and my mom had a revolving door of men when I was a teen, but no real relationships. So I don't have a dad or a stepdad either. I'm also an only child. I have friends and some other family, but just do not have the energy yet to tell them about any of this. Last thing, some people thought my post was made up because I hadn't replied to any comments. That was because I was so exhausted I just passed out right after posting it. When I woke up, it was locked and I couldn't reply. And now for the actual update. I'm proceeding with the divorce and have gotten in touch with an attorney. I've kicked him out of the house and I think has gone to his parents for the time being. Not looking forward to a legal battle whatsoever, but there's no possible way to remain married after this mess. To this day, he doesn't know why he did it. I have my own suspicions based on things he said in the past about wishing he'd had more romantic partners before me, because he felt like he had missed out on his youth. Maybe that was my clue that it wasn't enough for him. Should have listened, but let him and some friends talk me to believing I must be, or he wouldn't be with me. And that all guys have regrets like that and sacrifice them for the right woman. Clearly that wasn't me. He also struggles with overuse of adult movies sometimes. Stepmom is his favorite genre. It never struck me as anything other than a dumb porn thing. Whatever. I won't be dating for a long time because obviously I'm colorblind to red flags. Whoa. That's completely messed up. So sorry you have to deal with all this. It is messed up. To this day, he doesn't know why he did it. That's a lie. He planned it out in detail. He knows why he did it even if he won't admit it. Also, I seriously doubt he admitted to this out of guilt. He just wants out of the marriage and this was the easiest way to get that. I wouldn't be surprised if he is fooling around behind her back with someone. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if he is lying about cutting off the mom. I've had friends that did crazy stuff for their bachelor party. Normal crazy stuff like strippers, hookers, and blow. And if some of it came out, it might end their marriage. Decades later, no one has ever said a word. It happened, it's not happening ever again. Code of silence. I don't blame anyone for thinking that sort of thing is stupid and crappy, but at the same time, to me, it's worse to go years into a marriage with someone and then admit to something like that to assuage your own guilt. Own that guilt and live with the shame. Be a better person if you really want to do right by your partner. This guilt thing is just an excuse to bail. I'd be misplaced to not acknowledge his integrity around the R thing. He told me it'd be easy to run with that in order to keep me. I said if that's how it happened, I would stay with him, but that he'd already betrayed me. He wouldn't be able to live with himself if he made a false accusation about something so serious instead of taking responsibility. Well, that is the only part I respect him for. Also, don't fall for this OP. He wants out. That's the reason why he isn't playing this angle. If you had caught him and he wanted to stay, he would throw mom under the bus, no problem. This is just a way for him to keep some sort of control over you. Make you think he isn't as bad as he seems. He is that bad. Take him to the cleaners in the divorce. No holds barred. Oh God. Please don't try to normalize being able to do things like that, knowing it'll ruin the relationship if it came out, then keeping it a secret. If they don't want their partners knowing it, then they shouldn't be doing it. I'm proceeding with divorce and have gotten in touch with an attorney. I've kicked him out of the house. Good. Yes. Affirm. Absolutely yes. Cut these people out of your life like the cancerous tumors they are and go no contact forever. My God. Invest in you. Please get therapy for the trauma that has been inflicted on you by this terrible betrayal. He is a POS, and your mom is no mother. She's a trashy female bi parent, nothing more. Unbelievable to do this to your own daughter. Strength and healing to you, OP. Thank you. Finding someone for therapy is on my to-do list before the end of the week. Excellent. A good therapist with expertise in trauma recovery can really help. I'm really sorry for you. You're making the right decision. I'm sending you a lot of strength and a big hug. Thank you. I appreciate the affirmation. It's really hard. Don't hesitate to use the "I'll tell everyone what you did" to your advantage in divorce proceedings. How disgusting. Now for the last story. Apparently my husband's family thinks I miscarried on purpose. I, 24 female, husband 30 male, lost my baby last week. And now I also have to worry about the fact that my husband's family thinks I did it on purpose. A little bit of backstory. I've been in the US for 5 years, but I'm not from here. Different skin color, foreign accent. I'm not the daughter/sister-in-law they expected, which his mom and sister have voiced before. In front of me. Hubby told them to stop and things got somewhat better, although his sister still makes weird comments at times. She invited us over to her place and then had the nerve to say in front of everybody that my miscarriage is not that big of a deal since I did it on purpose, and that it's not like I wanted a baby anyway, which is not true. I said to her once during our first year of being married that I felt that we didn't need to rush into getting pregnant, and she took it and turned it into me not wanting babies. And now over a year later she threw that in my face. When hubby tried to tell her to stop, but his mom joined in and said that his sister was right, that I probably did it on purpose. Like what? My husband stood up for me, and when he realized his mom was in on it too, He grabbed me and we left, which I'm grateful for, but he now wants me to let them come over and apologize. But I never want to see them again. I know that's unrealistic though, so how do I look at them, have them at my house, without wanting to throw something in their faces and tell them how I really feel? Mother-in-law and sister-in-law are definitely terrible people. Their apology will not come from their heart, but from the tongue just to save face with your husband. Keep these people at a distance from now on. I want to never see them again. Unfortunately, there is family, and I know that he wants us to just get along or at least be civil. I'd been civil this whole time though. I don't think I've ever done anything to deserve this. Sure, you can be civil and at the same time keep your distance, so they don't have another opportunity to hurt you with cruel words. So sorry for your miscarriage. And to think the worst came from women. They sounded really sorry for us when his sister invited us to come over and have supper to take our minds off the situation. I fell for it like a dummy. I'm so stupid for thinking they would be capable of feeling bad for me and help me grieve. Just tell him you aren't ready to see them to hear an apology and you'll let him know when you are. I have. He's convinced that we should get it all settled as soon as possible because we're a family. But it's so obvious they don't see me as a part of their family.